Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and yes, today we're going to be taking a walkthrough through the world's largest Bath & Body Works store. Yeah, super cool. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that I was in Columbus for the weekend, and thanks to This Guy Shops here on YouTube, he had a live stream announcing that there was a super large store opening up in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. And I happened to be in Columbus in that area the same day, so I was like, oh my god, thanks to his information, I was able to go and visit that store on the grand opening day of that store. He did an entire video live stream walkthrough of it, so if you want to check that out, check that out. But today I'll be doing a photo slideshow, just because when I was there were quite a few people in there, but there was also a million sales associates who were talking, approaching me, trying to help me out, literally every other minute. There were so many of them, and that's what they're supposed to do, and it's also the first day, so I don't blame them, but it's just I feel like they were already getting suspicious of me just walking around and taking photos of the interior, that I was just I just don't even want to deal with the video footage, but I did take many photos, and we'll go through all of those and talk about it. As you guys know, I've been shopping at Bath & Body Works for over 10 years now. I witnessed the White Barn 2.0 store format. So we had the side-by-side stores that were opening up in malls, where we had the relaunched White Barn portion next to a Bath & Body Works store that then turned into a store in a store. And I've also shopped in the old, the White Barn 1.0 stores as well, with the old Bath & Body Works models. I've also been to a fair share of the Heartland era red gingham Bath & Body Works stores as well, and just being a fan of, I guess, Bath & Body Works, but also design and architecture and interiors and all that kind of stuff. I find it super fascinating and interesting, so that's kind of the point of view where I'm coming from, of having been a fan for quite some time, having witnessed all the different store models they've had throughout the years. Shopping semi-annual sale, you go all around to all the stores, so you see the different type of store formats. So seeing a brand new store open on grand opening day of whatever the newest format Bath & Body Works is particularly exciting and interesting to me. And so this might be a video that might be a little bit long and I might geek out on it. That's just how I am. If that's the kind of video you want to watch, then cool, here you are. So we'll get right into it. So yes. So I wasn't quite sure what the store was going to look like. Was it just going to be the new, they had the blue concept store for a while, and then we had the White Barn store in a store concept, and there have been different type of concepts and models of stores, and I wasn't sure what type of model this store would be, and it seems to be a completely brand new and different store. I think somebody in my live video was saying maybe the store in the UK follows a similar format, but I have not visited that store, so I do not know. But this was the first that type of store I've seen, so quite a bit of changes and differences in that store model that we'll go through right now. So yes, this was a store, so I'm gonna have the photos viewing on my iPad down here, so I'm looking down here, but then I'll insert the photos in editing afterwards, and that's how we'll go. So the first picture we have is an outside of the Bath & Body Works store, and super unassuming. It's just literally in a outdoor shopping plaza, nothing very fancy. I think the store right next to it is Walmart, and then there's a Bath & Body Works here on the end of this little section, and that's what that looks like. So nothing super fancy. You wouldn't even know it was anything new or special, but then when you walk in, the sales associate told me it was indeed the world's largest Bath & Body Works store, so that's what that was. Moving on. This photo is kind of when you walk in and you turn immediately right. So the layout is kind of in a almost a segment of 5, where it's 1, 2, 3 in the middle is a central corridor, and then 4, 5 where there's kind of loose rooms that you have, not too different from the rooms that you would see in a traditional Bath & Body Works store, but the first section that you go to, it looks like it's all the body care signature fragrances. It's the first room when you go right into your right, and that's what this looks like. This looks probably the most similar to a standard Bath & Body Works store, kind of as how we know it now. It's a lot of the blue and white gingham wallpaper pattern, which I really enjoy. It has the very much traditional Bath & Body Works happy feel to it, has the blue gingham type of feel and all that kind of stuff. Other than that, there wasn't nothing too much to report on this photo. Here you'll see a photo of kind of this pass-through sink area, and this was kind of connecting that first Bath & Body Works room to the White Barn portion of that store, and it's like a double sink, and instead of there being a mirror, it just like passes through into the rest of the store. So this is the back room of this half of the store looking out towards the front. We then have a photo of the White Barn home care section. So this looks actually quite different from the White Barn we have known before. So the White Barn 2.0 had like this very much like dark feel to it. It was kind of supposed to be more like a upscale elevated experience. It had black walls. It's very like black and dungeony. It's very dark, and I kind of like that. That's kind of how I just grew to know White Barn. It was like Bath and Body Works was this bright, fun, like just bright and like just crazy fun feel to it. But then you would go into the White Barn side and it'd be a little bit more dark and sophisticated. And we had like the White Barn like cursive font as the logo back then. They did a lot of like these shopkeeper events when White Barn first started. The floor sets at White Barn were crazy. It was almost more like a home decor store than it was just a candle store, and somewhere along the line they actually stopped doing the like massive home decor oriented floor sets. They had a ton of like third-party decor back in the day with their floor sets on the White Barn side. They soon switched out of that, and now it's just literally like just candles plopped up on a table without much effort with the third-party decor on it. Totally different from how it used to be. And then so now they've transitioned from that White Barn 2.0 look into something completely new, and we have more of that kind of like modern, it's that sort of like that mid-century modern slash meets boho, like minimalist modern, mid-century modern like feel that you see in a lot of interiors these days. We also have that like kind of like grayish gray color that's kind of like, you know, associated with like modern farmhouse feel. It has that. The White Barn like home care like font and logo is totally different from the usual White Barn cursive that we've seen before. And here you can see it's an entire wall of laundry, so a big focus on laundry on the White Barn side. Just a totally different feel from how it used to be. This photo is kind of like a stark contrast of the very like neutral gray tones of the wall behind it, but then there's like shelving units with super busy candles and all the colorfulness. So I guess before, I feel like maybe the walls were black, right? And then you had all the colorfulness like in contrast to that, and because black, it like sets such a like I guess a lack of color backdrop to it, the like color being busy with the candles, it made a good contrast. But now that it's like all this rainbow like in front of the gray, I don't know, the contrast is just kind of weird or different. It like doesn't match, at least in the context of just this photo, because like this is showing the fun, juicy, bright, like crazy side of Bath and Body Works up against the more modern minimalist look that they're going with their interiors with this store. So that was just kind of a different contrast that I saw there. This photo is more of that sort of like new White Barn look, which we have like a gray wood grain on the background there. And they've been starting to utilize a lot of these circular or oval tables, which I think this is a totally new fixture from any other White Barn store I've seen. It was just interesting to see like the different fixtures and basically the furniture and the tables in the store that we haven't seen anywhere else prior. And so this was this really long oval one. They have these like little box cube things that you can see in the middle there that says discover your perfect fragrance. That's actually a TV screen, and it's a video that loops or plays, which that's new and different. And then the candles actually have like the category they're in, as well as the actual notes of the candle when to remove the candle. So kind of neat how they did that. I just feel like for floor sets, they're gonna have to do so much more work and effort in this store because they have so many like paper inserts that they're gonna have to swap out depending on what candle is being shown at what time. This is a photo of a bathroom. So Bath and Body Works stores, they have bathrooms, but they're for employees only. And this is the first store I've encountered where there's actually a public bathroom that is available for guests, as well as a water fountain there as well. This is a juicy shot into like kind of like the other half of the store. This is basically that center corridor that I was talking about. And then you have the Wallflower Room, as well as the Wellness Room. And the Wellness Room also has like the men's shop in it. And so you can see another angle of those like oval tables here, as well as the central tables and fixtures that you see for the seasonal candles in the middle aisle. This photo you see here is actually of the cash wrap, which is actually quite different from how we've seen cash wrap before. First of all, there's actually like an actual hard wraparound line for the line checkout that like is, you know, for traffic and flow management. And it's where all the travel size and the mini must-haves reside. And so you can see that's a totally new fixture that I haven't seen before, but it also sets up walls for the better traffic and flow management when the line gets really long in that store. I do have to say the store is much more spacious and open than of course, because it's a large store, but even the layout just is like way more spread apart, and in some regards it felt a little bit more cold and sterile and less homey and cozy to the Bath & Body Works that I've like known or grown up with, because usually the mall stores, if they're like a side-by-side store, they're actually quite cramped and there's not a lot of room to walk around or maneuver. This store was like almost like a conscious effort to keep it more, I don't want to say bare, but more spread apart, so then you can accommodate more people flowing through the store. And so that was a difference that I noticed with this store particularly, but also because of the color palette and the lack of, I guess, decoration, it did feel a lot more cold or sterile. And I think this photo kind of perfectly captures that more cold or sterile feel that I'm getting from it, which once again, you know, there's trends in design and stuff. So if this is just like the minimalist neutral design palette they were going for, then that's just the sign of the times, whatever. But like this shot very much reminds me more of like a H&M store or like a store at Disney Springs like Uniqlo, or like maybe even, you know, a little bit like Sephora or Ulta-ish. It had very much like this, or even like just a clothing department store, because I guess of the size of it and how spread out it was, but also the minimalist interior and paint colors. It just felt more like it didn't feel like home in the way Bath & Body Works has always felt like home to me, because it was, of course, because it's new, I'm not used to it, so there's that portion too, but the lack of decorations and just the more minimalist aesthetic, it just felt less cozy and fun than the Bath & Body Works of prior, because like even in the cash wrap, you see that big screen there, but like I think on the Bath & Body Works, the old Bath & Body, or the current Bath & Body Works and White Barn sites, like the White Barn has like, usually like photo frames and like decorations like mounted on the wall, like a clock, and that like whole White Barn sort of aesthetic with a little bit of that sort of country feel that they had going on with the White Barn imagery and all that kind of stuff is notably missing from behind the cash wrap. Even that online pickup sign is just a little bit more cold or sterile. It looks more modern, but I also was just literally in a Starbucks this morning that had a online pickup sign that looked very, very, very much like that. So they were kind of taking cues from other retailers. But yeah, so that was the cash wrap portion there. We have a shot of the Wallflowers room. So here you can see the Wallflowers logo is like placed on the wall and it's lit up once again with that sort of dark wood tone that kind of matches more of the White Barn 2.0 aesthetic that we know. Pretty much I think the same type of wallflower fixture that we've seen in other stores, so not much else to talk about that. They had a nice, you can see like those sort of cubes or grids where they like display the wallflower plugins is like well integrated into the wall, which is kind of cool. Here's just another shot of the wallflower table, as you can see right there. And you can also see the like screen of the wallflower like video playing in that photo. This was also interesting. This is something I've never seen in another store before. It's literally like a quote or a testimonial that's like alongside the product, and like at first glance you think it is actually indeed a real user review, but there's actually no name attributed to it, so this could literally just be marketing copy from a copywriter in their marketing department. And it's like this one just says, I just can't do without this product. If you haven't tried it, you really should take my word for it. And it's like, whose word for it? Like, is that an actual real customer, or are we taking Bath & Body Works marketing copywriter's word for it? You know what I'm saying? So, but just interesting because that was something I've never seen before. Moving on, this is now working up into the front of the store, and so opposite of that very first room we saw. This is the men's shop area, which is actually kind of merged with the wellness section as well. And you see this is what the men's shop looks like. It's like an actual like dedicated area for the men's stuff. I think a lot of their stuff says that the men's segment is one of their fastest growing segments, so they're very much investing in that. Very pretty lineup with the colors and the cologne bottles and all that kind of stuff. You can see those kind of fancy like leather strap things holding the picture frames, which is kind of cool and nice looking, so I appreciate that. This is another new fixture that says the men's shop on it. This is just like totally different from any other men's shop fixture that I've seen. It just kind of looks very much like sort of department store-ish, or like even Ulta or Sephora. Very much kind of takes cues from that. But it looks nice. The next thing that we have is the wellness room, which was alongside the men's shop. And you notice this actually has like that wellness logo plastered and hard installed onto the wall. So it looks like they're actually going through with that wellness brand, which is an interesting difference from it having been aromatherapy for the longest time, and now it's converted to wellness. And so sometimes we'll still see aromatherapy stuff that's just kind of intermingled under the wellness name. But so it looks like the wellness like branding and naming is kind of here to stay. Based on all the, you know, the signage here. And this is just all that like wellness aromatherapy type of stuff that we see. It's up against that sort of like lighter grain wall there. Moving on, we have another shot of the men's shop. You can see like the actual men's shop logo installed there, the black fixtures. It looks quite handsome and nice. I like that touch of the black and white gingham to tie in with the blue and white gingham that we see. Looks very nice. Very much once again, that sort of Sephora, Ulta feel. Even like if you've been into a Target that has a men's section, it very much has that type of feel to it, where it feels a lot more, I don't know, department store-ish than traditional Bath & Body Works. Moving on, this is in the central corridor that I was talking about, and then you can see that very first room, which is the body care room with the blue and white gingham off in the distance. So this is the central corridor that we're in, and this is another one of those oval type tables. And what's interesting here is you can see all the fine fragrance mists on the back side of this table with all the everyday luxury stuff that they were heavily promoting, especially because it was the $5.95 sale. But here you can see that they actually have these little like paper inserts that tell you the category the fragrance is in, as well as the name and the notes on there. And like there's a dedicated like little pedestal for these fine fragrance mints. It looks quite nice. And the attention to detail to actually name each fragrance and set it on a pedestal is real cool. But it just seems like, once again, way more work for the floor set, because that means they're gonna have to like print out like, well, the Bath & Body Works corporate is gonna have to print out all these little like nameplates, and then the sales associates will have to slide them in and out for the floor set. And you can even see the blotter papers have a the category on there, like botanical and blooms and treats and sweets. So it's kind of cool they have like these actual custom categorized blotter paper now for the blotters. So that's kind of cool. Moving on, this is like kind of another one of those tables in the central corridor. I think this was once again one of those I think this was one of those oval ones, but you can just see the wallflowers and that White Barn candles signage in the back. We still have like the kind of cutesy baskets, which I appreciate. This is kind of fun. It's like an actual like gift card station. It's like an actual standing display. I've never really seen one of those before, so it's kind of cool to see an actual custom fixture for that. Here we have another wide shot of the entire White Barn side. Once again, quite different from before, but still looks very nice, clean, and minimalist and new. It's a very gorgeous store, I do have to say, despite it being kind of a departure from how we've known White Barn to be. Here's another shot that I took of the Everyday Luxuries fragrances, but I kind of wanted to call this one out is because this is once again another section of like paper they would have to switch out depending on the floor set, where we have the name and the notes of all the fragrances lined up, and it looks quite nice, but it's just another effort in terms of them having to design that paper that hangs over the ledge, and then the sales associate will actually have to switch that out during floor set. Here's a look at a fixture for the pocket bags. Nothing too much to note there, except that in this next photo, we have an actual rack for the hand creams, which this is new. I've never seen a fixture like this before. Kind of cool to see all those lined up like that. And then finally, I think this is the last photo. And this was one of the very first tables in that central corridor when you first walk in. And it's the table for the Everyday Luxuries. It's the back side of the other table that I showed you before. And you can see the nameplates on here are actually like their printed on black to, I guess, evoke more of that luxury feel than the way that the nameplates were set up on the other side of this table. And then once again, you can see like that Fine Fragrance Mints video playing on that cube there. And that was kind of like the last shot I took, because then the front door was right behind where this photo was taken. And yes. And whew, okay, so I think that concludes the slideshow portion. Yeah, let's see. Overall thoughts, gorgeous, beautiful store. I mean, obviously it's brand new, it's clean. It's a lot more minimalist than Bath & Body Works of prior. The color palette is a lot more of those neutral colors that we see even in their neutrals candles, just kind of like, you know, updating it with the times, with that sort of like grayish color that we see in a lot of places now. It's like the Sherwin-Williams Agreeable Gray or whatever, which is like one of the most popular like modern farmhouse colors or whatever in interiors these days. You see like the paneling, that kind of, it's that transition from that modern farmhouse aesthetic into that more like mid-century like boho feel as well. Very much keeping up with the trends of interiors these days. You can see they've used that. There's just a lot less of the blue and white gingham. I think the blue and white gingham really only shows up in that body care room. So then once you depart that body care room, it just feels like a different store. And once again, it could be me just not being used to it because it's new, and so it feels a little bit more cold or sterile. But overall, it did feel a little bit more cold or sterile because everything was spread apart. Stuff was like less colorful, more subdued, more modern, less of that cozy, dark, like white barn feel, and less of that like crazy, intense, like Bath & Body Works blue white gingham and that more like yellow tone wood that we see in a lot of those like side-by-side stores. Yeah, so a lot more minimalist and modern. Once again, a little bit more of a departure into a department store or Sephora or a clothing store type of aesthetic. Even kind of like H&M, you know, Forever 21, that type of like sort of minimalist aesthetic was going on there. But still very pretty nonetheless. But it does kind of just make me, I guess from a nostalgic standpoint, miss those more large, extravagant, like decor-oriented white barn floor sets that we had at the very beginning of the White Barn 2.0 era. It was more like these minimalist tables with just product on it with minimal decor. So it was just more of focus on the products on a table in a very like Apple store type of way, rather than more of those like grand storytelling, I guess floor sets that we see like I guess back in the day. But even I feel like maybe, and once again, maybe once it's like Christmas time, they'll have more of the decorations with the big Christmas trees and the massive, like, you know, things. But the floor set just felt a lot more pared down and minimalist rather than the big over-the-top floor sets that we've gotten before. Yeah, so that was pretty much, I guess, my thoughts on that. Plenty of room to navigate. The sales associates were all very nice, but literally every single one tried to talk to me, which after a while, it was just kind of like, I just kind of want to like shop in peace and take my photos in peace. And it was kind of hard to do that with people constantly asking you if you need help or not. And it's like after the 10th time, it becomes a little overbearing. But once again, it was grand opening day, so they're just trying to help you out, I suppose. But just keep that in mind if you go into that store, because of how big that store is. And once again, could be because of grand opening, there were a ton of sales associates there. So yeah, but they were all nice, don't get me wrong, so there was that. And I think that's pretty much it. So if you want to go to the world's largest Bath & Body Works store, Reynoldsburg, Ohio, Taylor Square, Taylor Road location is that. Check it out if you happen to be there. Very beautiful store, but just a little bit of a departure from old school BBW but once again, that old style BBW is still around here to stay. It's not like every store is just gonna like with a flip of a finger or a snap of a finger gonna switch into this new modern minimalist aesthetic. That's simply not gonna happen. We're still gonna have plenty of those like old rundown Heartland era stores in the rundown malls, plus plenty of the side-by-side and store-in-store one models are still like abundantly out there. So if anything, even though this is the new language probably going forward, this is the anomaly rather than the exception rather than the majority at the current moment, because all the other older current stores still exist, obviously. So, you know, it's a store and a brand that has to evolve with the time, so it is what it is. So I think I've talked enough about the world's largest Bath & Body Works store. Let me know all your thoughts down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.